You're listening to the Platte River Bard.
Thank you both for joining us today. We are here with Jamie Bullins. He is the director. And we are here with Mekhi Mitchell. He is an actor. He is playing the character of Avery. And what is the play? The play is called The Flick. It's by Annie Baker, and they are doing it. Welcome, gentlemen. Thank you very much.
Welcome.
For talking with us.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you for having us.
So this play, it was debuted in 2013, and then in 2014 it won a Pulitzer Prize. It's about three movie buff misfits.
Not even all of them aren't even movie buffs. One of them doesn't even like movies.
No, she
Oh, really?
No.
Yeah. But they all work
Rose.
at a movie theater. Yeah,
Rose does not
is-
like movies.
Rose.
It's very disappointing to Avery when he finds that out.
Yeah, no, but Avery and Sam, who are the two fellows that work at the theater, they're both like super movie buffs. So
And it's like one of the last 35 millimeter projector houses.
Yeah.
God, I think they're all gone now, aren't they?
If there is one, I don't know.
So sad.
Around here.
Did you ever work at a movie theater?
I didn't. No,
did.
I mean, I've gone to movies so many times in my
Sure.
life. The first movie I ever saw was Spider-Man 2. I don't remember going to see it, but
Yes.
apparently that was the first movie I ever saw in theater.
That's awesome.
But Jamie worked at a movie theater.
I
Did
did.
you work?
I worked at a movie theater, and the first movie theater I worked at was in an art museum, and I had 35 millimeter, but it was the small reels, so I had two projectors with the switch box.
Oh, okay.
Old school.
Sweet.
Right? And so I had to thread the machine over here and thread this machine and then watch the movie and then do the switch box at the right time to switch from. Oh, it was crazy.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, and then I worked at two movie theaters like the summer in between undergrad and grad school. And
I used to work
it was
at
a
the
blast.
I used to work at the old Redbridge movie theater back in Kansas City, and we had, of course, that big platters, and you had to build the movie up and everything. Man, it was fun. It was cool. And one of my best friends forever was he worked at a movie theater for like 15 years, and could fix the projectors, the whole thing. And they would do where they would run. They get one print, and they had to run it in like two different houses at the same time. So they'd run it, and it would be running across this giant booth, and as it's running here, then it's going over to the other projector, which is like 50 feet down this way, and it was pretty fun.
It's incredible because like this play is pretty accurate in terms of like, we don't, if you're a movie goer, you don't think about the people that are cleaning the bathrooms
No.
or sweeping up the popcorn and all of that, right?
It's true.
But those people, it's so funny because when I worked at the movie theater, there was this sort of interesting connection and community, but we were all so different, which is what Annie Baker really tries to do when she writes this play. She's like, I'm going to put an emo girl, a sort of upper middle class, young, well-educated black man, and when she first wrote the play, Sam was Jewish, and I'm sure he is Jewish, but it was more in the play, and she sort of removed a lot of any references to his Judaism in the play, but it was purposeful that she chose a young, educated black man, a young Jewish man, and a misfit sort of emo girl, because those are those. What she said was that they're sort of the side characters in films.
That's true.
They're not usually featured in
Yeah,
films.
they're
and
like
so,
the sidekicks.
Yeah, and so she I'm going to put those three people and sort of feature them.
Make them the
here.
main characters.
Yeah.
I wonder what the reasoning was behind taking out the Jewish part.
I don't know.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Is it
Did
just
we
not
make one
resonating?
reference to it, if you even want to call that a reference at all,
Yeah.
in the actual story? But I mean, other than that, you wouldn't know Sam was Jewish.
Yeah, she
unless
made
you
it.
did, like,
I
some
read
research.
an interview with her, and I made it sound like that in earlier versions it was more evident.
It's more of a
I see.
thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, maybe that she just ultimately wasn't doing much with it, so she thought, just get rid of it.
Yeah.
you
Well,
know,
if it
since
doesn't
they're
add to
not-
the story.
Exactly.
And it certainly doesn't take away from the
Well,
story.
no, but
because Sam and Avery are still super different. Because Avery's like a young, educated black man in college, and Sam is 35 years
35,
old.
still
Lives in his
basement
parents'
attic.
attic, and
Oh,
he's,
okay.
and so they're so different in terms of like
Completely.
where their background and where they're coming from, but they immediately bond because of where they work and what their interests are.
And especially they got the whole movie buff thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which connects so many different kinds of people.
Yeah.
And because I've been a movie buff my entire life.
Yeah.
It sounds like you have too.
Some of my best friends, one of my best friends, I remember we actually started off not liking each other. And then this is back when, the DC Universe had all their movies going and the Justice League movie was about to come out. And I just brought up the point saying, I was like, I love Ben Affleck as Batman. And he was like, bro, me too, bro. And then after that, we just hit it off. We still good friends to this day. We talk about movies all the time.
You like Ben Affleck as Batman?
I think Ben Affleck's Batman was the best looking out of all of them.
Wow.
I think he had the best fight scenes. I don't think he was written particularly well.
Oh, I'll go with that.
No, I'm 100% with you on that. Same with Henry Cavill.
I'm not a fan.
I thought
of
Henry
that.
Cavill was made for Superman.
Oh, yeah.
I don't think they gave him a good Superman movie to be in.
They didn't.
And it makes me mad because now he's done.
Well, it was better than that Superman Returns film, though.
It was. Hey, the road to hell is paved with good intentions.
And then we almost had a Nicolas Cage Superman too,
which was referenced to in The Flash.
Yeah,
yes, I saw that. They got all the stuff in.
That movie was so bad,
so piss poor.
Unbelievable.
I didn't go see Aquaman 2 because that was.
I didn't see it. Well, they're rebooting the universe now, so
Yeah.
I'll give it a pass. It'll be on HBO eventually.
Right.
It'll come across my radar.
Well, the first Aquaman was bad, so I was like,
it was all right. I mean, it was Jason Momoa.
well, yeah, he's cool.
He's fun.
Yeah.
So it's like, all right, but he's not really Aquaman.
But it's been so much fun working with these guys too because there's so much age difference, and I'm a huge movie fan. So like every time in rehearsal, I'm like, "Well, have you guys seen this?" No. Okay. I was like, well, "Have you seen this?" No. And one of the most fun things that we did was I rented out the Joyo, which is that old movie theater that's almost 100 years old. That's in Havelock.
It's had 98 years, I think.
Yeah, and so I rented it out, and we all went over there one night and watched Pulp Fiction.
So great.
Oh, was that your first time?
No. I'm the one who chose the movie.
But it was several people's first time.
It was a bunch of people's first time.
And to see it at the Joyo shown through a digital projector on this wall painted white, right? Because it had this vintagey brown sort of look to the whole thing.
It took my eyes a good solid 10 minutes to adjust.
Yeah. But I sat there thinking, man, Quentin Tarantino would love to sit here and watch this film.
He would approve.
Place. Yeah, I agree. Yeah.
Wow.
But it was funny because, like, literally, I'm like, yeah, Pulp Fiction is referred to in the play all the time.
Right? Okay.
And Avery's a huge fan, and he quotes it at the end. He does that whole Ezekiel monologue at the end.
Wow.
So, and the kids in the show, I was like, Pulp Fiction, we had people in the cast, they were like, I've never seen it. And I'm like, oh, come on.
That's must viewing.
And so, we took them all to see Pulp Fiction.
Wow.
What did because I'm curious, because it is very much of its time.
For sure.
Yeah.
What does the younger generation
the
think
first
of
comment
Pulp
I got
Fiction?
was, wow, they use the N-word a lot.
Yeah.
It's a Tarantino movie.
They said Tarantino put himself in the movie just so he could say it as many times as he did.
Yeah. But it was interesting because I actually had forgotten some of the things that were in the movie.
Me too.
Some disturbing shit in Pulp Fiction. Right? And so before the film, I stood up and I was like, I need to lay a disclaimer on you guys because there's some language, there's some sexual situations, there's some shit. So just be ready.
Yeah.
And so because
especially
I
with
was
the Bruce Willis storyline, it gets dark.
I was just terrified that I'd get to school the next day and somebody'd be like,
you took them to see that movie? I'm
traumatized for life.
It's in the script.
But I think it was good that we saw that because
I think so.
I've been talking to the cast and everything, and I feel like there are connections with our three characters and Jules and Mia and Vincent. And Avery, he loves Pulp Fiction. He loves it enough to know Sam Jackson's entire monologue to a T. It's not just like he's reciting it. He knows it down to the mouth movement, to where his tongue is in his mouth when he's saying what word.
God.
Like he knows it down like that.
Yeah.
And I know Sofia yesterday was showing me some of her dance, and she's incorporated some of the Mia twist.
Nice.
So it's just little things that we're pulling from those characters to help us flesh out ours.
That's super cool.
It's very cool.
That is super cool.
I wonder why Avery likes that movie so much. I wonder why they like it so much.
Ooh, why would a young connect to Quentin Tarantino?
Wow. Well, I don't know. The Sam Jackson character is just.
He's
he's
Yeah,
kind of
yeah.
irresistible.
I've always said, like, people ask me about Pulp Fiction. I'm like, well, everything is in it.
Yeah.
everything.
You kind of got a little bit of everything, in
Right?
there.
You know, follow those multiple storylines, and it's everything. Everything is in there.
It really, yeah. I mean, I enjoy all of Quentin Tarantino's movies. I'm not sure if he'll top Pulp Fiction for me.
Oh, he's only got one more in him.
Yeah,
He said
supposedly.
he's making one more.
Yeah,
so.
supposedly. We'll
Now,
see
I
how
did.
that
I did
goes.
like Day in the Life of Hollywood, but only because
yeah.
of the cathartic moment at the end.
Oh,
right.
yes.
That's a
The
huge
alternate
catharsis.
history,
Yes,
yes.
that alternate history. I'm like, have you seen that one?
Which one are you talking about?
A Day in the Life of Hollywood.
Or no,
Once
was it-
Upon a Time.
Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
Once
See,
Upon a
I
Time in
watched it.
Hollywood.
I didn't love it.
Well, I think it's
love it.
because maybe you're not old enough to have a connection to the whole Manson thing, right?
Maybe not.
I'm even too young. Really,
I'm a little too young, but I heard all about
But
it.
I remember it, right? And I remember getting fascinated with
I
it when
grew
I
up in
was
the
a
aftermath,
teenager, and
yeah.
I read the book and all
Yeah,
this stuff.
for sure.
And so I'm familiar with it. So that alternate ending at the
Mm-hmm.
end, when that whole thing goes down, I'm like, oh man,
Wow.
this is how it should have happened,
Yeah.
right? And so
Interesting.
it's pretty. I don't know.
No, I know I like his stuff, but I think, and I don't want to say he peaked with Pulp Fiction, but I don't think he'll outdo.
But it was so new,
Himself.
right? His
It was.
style and his sort of way of filmmaking was so new at that time. I think that's what.
Reservoir Dogs had happened, but it
It
wasn't
wasn't-
as a
it
big a
didn't have
deal
the
until
impact.
after Pulp Fiction,
Yeah,
and then
yeah.
everybody went back and go, oh, Reservoir Dogs.
Yeah, yeah. It was a good movie, but it was not Pulp Fiction.
Fair enough.
So, yeah.
It was like half one movie and half another
Yeah.
kind of movie, as I recall.
It
Yeah.
was.
Yeah.
No, I love the whole movie buff thing. I love that it has a sort of a central, is part of one of the themes in Flick. Apparently, is because a couple of the characters are movie buffs. It is takes place at an old, sort of dying 35 millimeter movie theater.
Well, it's
which is super
it's
cool.
so interesting because it's about so many things. I mean, I had to write director's notes for the program today, and I was just like,
Yeah.
what do I talk about? But it's like it's about so many things because it's about the development of new technology and how the world is changing. But it's also about something as simple as making friends.
They say for Avery,
Yeah.
what is the play about? Almost where is he? Is he in a different place
That
at the end than he is at the beginning?
Well, I think Avery realizes some things, but he pretty much ends up, and I say all the characters pretty much end up in the same place that they started off in.
Interesting.
And that's just with the style of the play. Annie
Okay,
Baker
sure.
does a lot of Chekhov adaptations,
okay.
and so that's how the Chekhov plays are. They start off one place, go through a journey, but then ultimately they end up in the
They
same
sort of come
spot.
back home.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's a circle.
Fair.
And so when it ends, Avery he realizes some things that he certainly needed to realize. But if you look at it from the outside, what really happened?
Yeah.
Okay. Sure.
So
sure.
a lot of the story that happens in here.
Yeah.
And you have to look deep in and kind of see what did he realize? What does he think about himself now? What does he think about everybody else? And see where that leads him now, basically.
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah, I don't think there's change that happens, but it's internal to the
it's
story,
internal,
and then it's
yeah.
sort of you just shift back into. I think Avery ends up in a similar place with more knowledge.
With more knowledge, yes.
yeah,
For
yeah,
sure.
Yeah. So.
I like this quite a bit.
So there's something that I read about this, that they have something called dinner money.
Oh
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, in plain English, they just steal.
Taking Steve's money.
Yeah, they just steal the guy's money who owns the theater and buy themselves dinner and then justify it.
Because $8.25 is not enough to live on.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's
So,
true.
Yeah.
Yeah. What? Okay. So, well, yeah. And you said you were sitting down writing the director's notes, and what are the sort of the themes, and is there a sort of a central theme, or do we have many themes?
Well,
Is
I
it
get
sort of-
wrapped up in we all work on multiple projects at one time. So
Sure.
we were talking about earlier this play by Jennifer Blackmer that it's a shameless plug. Angels Theater Company is doing
Yeah,
this
that's
weekend
great.
and next weekend.
Yes.
And it's a new play, and it is entirely about connection, about human connection.
Okay.
Well, that's what the flick is about.
Yeah.
Right? And so
Yeah.
they're just two different plays that I'm working on at two different times that are about the same damn thing. Because the flick is about connection. It's about successful connection, failed connection, the hope for connection.
Yeah.
But it's about connection. It's like you can really boil it down to that. You can add other stuff on top of it. Oh, it's about progress and how things change and your opinions about that. I mean, that comes up in Avatar. It comes up in the digital film, and and all of that. So you can talk about that all you want, but the deepest core is about connection. It's about, we are all looking for connection, and we have successful connections and we have unsuccessful connections, but you can make connections with people who are super different from you by finding some common ground.
Yes,
that's what the play is about.
Yes.
And I think, to be honest with you, don't want to get all philosophical on you or anything, but that's what life is about, really.
Yes.
It's like, we're the four of us sitting around this table, we're all very different,
Very different.
but the reason we're in this room is a common ground.
It's theater.
Right? And so that's why we're here.
Excuse me.
And so,
Yes.
and I think that's what it's about. It's like finding, no matter how extreme your differences are, it's about finding common ground so that you can connect with people. And it's possible. And I think one of the things that is a huge theme in the flick is there's hope that you can connect.
Well,
you just have to find that.
And we were talking about this, the last thing. We need to get back, and we need to sort of remember that, we all have more in common than not.
Yeah.
And we've all kind of forgotten that. And I'm just going to go ahead and say it. I blame social media.
I don't know. You're not too far off.
It has tribalized us to
Yeah.
a terrible degree.
Yeah.
And now we got to, well, you're this and you're that and you're no. Can we just go back to being people again?
Yeah.
Please
Yeah.
stop dividing us. And it's like I don't need to know all your intimate secrets. Can I just meet you?
Yeah.
Where you are,
Yeah.
and we can just talk and be cool.
Who are you as a person? It comes down to people's character.
Exactly.
That's just kind of going back to what he was saying. Whenever somebody does ask what the play is about, it's always hard for me to tell them what it's about because I feel like there's so many different things.
Yeah.
Sure.
But it all does come back to the connection. And what is it that brings us all together?
Yeah.
We all can be very different from each other, which we all are in this room. We're all
course.
very different from each other.
Of course.
But like you said, we're all here for one reason, and that's the show. In the story, they're there because they work at this place called The Flick. And in that, they get to learn each other's character through little things, little routines like sweeping and mopping.
They do a lot of that in the show.
That's the show, if you ask me.
It's a show about
The dialogue is
cleaning.
the action. That's the dialogue is the action. But it's from doing all those little things that they find out that they do have a lot more in common than they realize.
Yeah.
And so that's what it is. The flick is about connection.
Yeah.
It's about the failed connection. It's about connection that you never thought you would get, and there's connection, that
There's some awkward connection.
very awkward connection. Yeah, very awkward.
It's just about, if you give the time, you have to invest in the time to learn,
Yes.
to get to know. But and Andy Baker's using the perfect thing, because just a minute ago when we started this conversation, just bringing up Ben Affleck as Batman,
I know.
we could talk for 45 minutes.
Oh my God.
just
Right.
about that, right? And so
Oh,
you
yeah.
can name movies,
Yeah.
and people have strong feelings. It's like if we wanted to talk about Gone with the Wind, it wouldn't take me very long because I hate it. But
Me too.
We all have, everybody has strong feelings about, So like, is it Wizard of Oz is the first play, first movie?
Wizard of Oz is the first movie Avery ever saw.
Yeah, and Wizard of Oz is
Okay.
huge. You can
Yeah.
talk about Wizard of Oz all day long with everybody.
Right.
And I actually
so-
watched that not too long ago, and
Yeah.
I had forgotten, I hadn't seen it in years, how incredibly sort of stylized
Yeah.
that movie is.
And that's
It's-
the only, I will say that
it's
Wizard
so
of
different,
Oz
and
is,
not as much dialogue
Yeah.
as you thought there was.
Wizard of Oz is the only rabbit hole that I'll go down on social media. Because, oftentimes you get those social media things that say, hey, 6 things you didn't know.
Oh, sure.
About Wizard of Oz. I'll be like, oh yeah, I want to know. I want to know those 6 things. Oh yeah, his lion costume was made out of real lion skin.
lions? Yeah.
Wow,
That's
and
disgusting.
So, I know, right? so yeah, I mean, but
That's hilarious.
it's a movies and films, and especially in America,
We love it. I know.
we're so film conscious, you know.
Oh my
Well,
God.
I just appreciated
I
that
just
this is
absorb
a play about. I appreciated that this is a play about movies,
Mm-hmm.
because that's really what theater is competing with these
Mm-hmm.
days, is the Netflix and all of that, and getting people to actually leave their homes and go experience live theater. So I thought it was like touche.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you know, yeah, that's right. You want to stay home and watch movies? We'll write plays
Yeah.
about movies.
Exactly.
Yeah. Well, and it's that whole, coming out to having a shared experience, and whether it's a play, whether it's a movie, it's all a very similar situation. I mean, you're sitting in the dark, watching this story unfold, and it's about watching stories. And characters.
Except when you go to the movies, you're just an idle spectator.
True.
When you go to the theater, you're
Yeah.
breathing the same air
You are
as the
correct, sir.
actors,
You
and
are
you're
correct.
in the immediate situation that is live.
And
So-
your reaction will change their performance.
Absolutely.
I know.
does.
I know it
We
does
figured
with me
that
as
out
an
during the
actor. I'm sure it
pandemic.
does
Yeah.
with you.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, we just had Sammy's boyfriend. Like I said, we had the best rehearsal I think we've had so far yesterday.
because I wasn't there.
Not because you weren't there. Not because you weren't there. I don't think it would have changed if you were there. But I think just things started to click with intentions and all of that stuff,
Yeah.
and having one person there who was, from an outsider, I'll say.
Mhm.
That's like having an audience. That's having an audience member.
Yes.
So it's like, okay, it's go time.
Yeah, you
Yeah.
get that feedback. Yeah.
Yeah, and when it's
Yeah.
and I was telling Sammy this yesterday. When it comes to me, whenever I have to go on stage or anything, I can be nervous the entire rehearsal period up until that moment. But it's like the moment you step on stage, it's like it's just gone, and there's something
good
else
for
there.
you.
Well, and it's funny because I
Yes.
talked to Sophia, who's playing Rose in the show. I talked to her today about last night's rehearsal, and she said it was interesting having Sammy's boyfriend in the house. He's the first outsider that we've had watch
Like,
a
yeah,
run.
watch rehearsal, yeah.
And she said, well, we had somebody in the house, so we had to bring it.
Yeah.
And I was like,
Oh,
so
right.
you don't bring it for me? Oh, okay. No, I'm kidding. That's a joke. That's a joke. But no, she was like, we had somebody there.
I
so
get it, yeah.
we had to bring it.
I think a lot of it is when we don't have people there, it's us being technical and trying to make sure we're getting everything right.
Yeah.
When you have an audience there, you can't think technically. You got to think instinctively. And so I think that's kind of what kicked in.
Which, by the way, I'm going to brag on the actors a little
Please
bit
do.
because I don't like to block. I don't ever pre-block.
Oh, really?
I never do any pre-blocking.
You don't go
when I
through your
in.
script and
Nope.
block it?
I
Really?
I read what we're going to work on, and then I go into rehearsal, and we just sort of walk, and I let the actors instinctually move around, and then if they do something I think is off, or we might adjust, right? But I'm better at response than I am to just
Wow.
telling them what to do because I want their input.
Do you throw out blocking if the script comes with it? Because sometimes scripts will have blocking in it.
We sometimes stick to it and sometimes we don't.
Okay,
It's
just curious.
because
Okay.
oftentimes those stage directions, I'm like, that's not a good idea. Because
Yeah.
there are certain times in the stage directions for this play that there's been a direction to have somebody get up and move at a certain time, and I'm like, no, don't get up yet.
Yeah.
Just stay. But I'm also a huge weirdo for having actors stay still when they feel like they want to move, right? Because I don't like extraneous movement.
Okay.
But the other night we got in to do the climactic scene, toward the toward the end of the second act. There's this big sort of climax of this conflict between the three of them, and I didn't give them any blocking. And I said, look, I just want you to come in and walk. Just do it. I was
Yeah,
like,
just
and then
go,
we'll
yeah.
adjust, right? And they came in, they did the scene, and literally when it was over, they were like, "What do you think?" And I was like, I hope the stage manager wrote that down because we're not changing anything."
Yeah, I like everything you guys
And I was
just
like,
did.
because you guys just did it exactly
yeah,
like you
you
should
mentioned
have.
we
Oh,
made
that's
we made a
great.
triangle.
Yeah.
And which I didn't even in that moment I didn't think about it.
Yeah,
but
they made
it
this
was
great
instinctually-
triangle, and
Yeah.
it was great.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, I said,
awesome.
wow, it looks like you guys must be learning from your teachers or something. I don't know. So-
It's like you're learning. That's
Yeah.
awesome.
Well, and that's probably coming from a professor mode. That's probably really helpful. You're giving them that latitude to figure it out.
Well, and I
or-
think it's a collaborative process.
Directing.
It
right?
is.
In terms
It
of
is.
I just don't think a director's job is to go in and dictate everything
Okay.
because how do I get the actors' input? In terms
Well,
of
yeah.
how they're feeling. I mean, one of the best directors I've ever worked with, his name's Jason Minidakis, and we did a show called The Goat, which is an Edward Albee. It's
Oh,
amazing.
yeah.
It's very disturbing, so don't just go read it for funsies.
Yeah.
But it's an amazing play, and we spent 2/3 of the rehearsal process at the table. And then, like, we only had, like, 7 days or something of blocking.
Just like reading?
Yeah, he just stayed at the table with the actors. And they just learned, he wanted them to learn the characters and learn the relationships. When we got into the space, he said, okay, here's point A, and here's point B, and here's point C. I need you at those points, but how you get to them each night, I don't care. And he said, I kind of expect it'll be different.
Yeah.
And so they did. They literally
Just
got up
work
and as long as he would build pictures, and he'd be like, this is a picture I want at the top. This is a picture I'd like at this moment. And he would just let them go.
And then
And their blocking would change every night. They would still build the pictures, but they, I don't want you guys to do that. Don't. But it was amazing because you get the instinctual response of the actor.
Well, and sitting with and just absorbing those characters for all that time, I imagine it wasn't a big deal.
Yeah.
Just like you guys doing when he said just go in and just do it, you guys had lived with these characters for enough time that,
and there's so much
that you literally did just go do it.
Yeah, well, there's so much tension in that moment. They were just responding the way you would respond if you were in that moment.
Yeah.
Which one of the things I think that we're getting in this show, I think people will see, is there's a huge honesty in the performances from these students.
That's cool.
I never could have predicted.
You can't. You excuse my language. You can't bullshit this.
No.
And that's like the training we've had with like Shakespeare. Like Shakespeare, you can't fake anything because the text requires you to bring the most truthful performance you have. And that's the same with this. Because if I say a line and I know that I'm lying to myself, it's just gonna come out wrong.
It'll come out fake.
Right.
Yeah.
It's just gonna sound contrived, and I don't want that.
Yeah. We'll catch you acting.
Yeah.
No, and
I like that you said that about Shakespeare too, because a lot of people come to it and they think it's something else, and it's like, oh no, this is like some of the most real stuff you'll ever read in your life.
Yeah.
Well, and I think they've developed, in the same way that I was talking about the GOAT, is the cast has really developed an understanding of the characters and sort of what their goals are and what obstacles are, those fancy acting words. And so but they've spent the time and the energy and the work, put the work in, right? And I think if you put the work in and you understand the character, then there's an instinctual sort of human response, right? And I think that's how you get the collaboration with your team in terms of like your cast. We're all part of the same team. And their input has to be those human instincts, right? And some of them, they may need guidance or they may need molding, but you have to start with something other than me sitting at my desk going, well, I think Avery should move over here at this time. Because I don't know what that's going to be like when Mekhi gets into the space and starts moving around. That I need to see this,
And that's funny that you said that because yesterday I keep going back to yesterday, but yesterday we had a great.
Because I wasn't there.
Because you weren't there. And I keep hyping it up. I'm hoping we're going to bring it tonight. That's all I gotta say.
That's right. You'll see tonight.
But just yesterday, a lot of the cast and everything they made me aware of things that I was doing. I had no idea I was doing. I guess I was shaking during Ezekiel.
Oh yeah.
Where I was in a posture where I tried to look stoic, but Sofia said she looked at my hand. My hand was like shaking like that.
Oh.
Because that's how Avery is. He's so nervous all the time.
He's just tightly wound.
And
in
that situation, that's probably the height of him being nervous and scared.
Yeah.
So
I think of that moment for him that if he couldn't get that out, that he would just break down in tears.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
Yeah, Avery. Yeah, he's in here. He's in his head all the time.
Always in his
head.
And
that's been the challenge of playing with him because you have to know exactly what he's thinking at every moment. And there's hidden context under everything he says. And yeah, I see that. And one thing that Jamie has said is he always just asks, he always tells us, what are these characters thinking in this moment? Or like, what questions are they asking themselves?
Yeah.
And at first, I always thought that meant that I had to have an answer for it. But that's the truth about all this is that you don't, and they don't know, but they're asking these questions anyway.
Yeah, for sure. There's always a lot of internal dialogue, and that's one of the things that I've always liked to do. It's nice to hear you say that too, is that even when you're doing action, I can't do any kind of action without something going on up here. I can't just we'll go pick this thing up. You know what I mean? I think, even something as dumb as that, go pick up the thing. You know.
Well, in Avery, I mean, the character's he's all up in his head, and he's always questioning. I mean, if you listen to what he says in the play, he doesn't even understand himself, right? No. So he's still questioning where he is and what his role is in the world and who he is as a human being. I mean, he's asking these questions, and we don't see an answer to those questions in this moment.
Because he's young enough, he's not there yet. Yeah. So he's still wondering and still trying to find out. Because I'm assuming he's closer to your age. Because you said the other.
Yeah, I think Avery's.
Yeah, he's 20. I'm 21.
Yeah. Okay, so right. Yeah, fair enough. Yeah. And then the other character's 30s. Yeah, and
35, and I think Rose is
24.
24. Okay, so you guys are a little younger. Yeah, so different ages for sure.
Well, it's interesting to see Sofia play Rose because Sophia's like 19.
I know.
She's a freshman. She's brand new.
She is brand. This is her first show.
Yeah, and so so she's playing a 24-year-old who's a little more jaded than Sofia is.
But it's interesting what that 5 years will do.
Yeah,
right. But I mean, seeing her work last night, she's definitely growing more into Rose.
Mm-hmm. Oh, absolutely. All of you
are
right. Everybody. I think all of them are really moving forward, and I'm super excited. We start tech next week, so it's adding that other element, that other layer, and there's going to be pretty
putting it all together. I'm not worried about opening night whatsoever. And kind of going back to what you were just saying, one thing I told Luke from the start, I was like, "You're Sam." I was like, "You are Sam." The way Luke can ramble, and just start talking about something really quick, it's just like I've seen him as Sam this entire time.
Well, I will tell you, 90% of directing is casting and then just getting out of the way.
And getting out of the actor's way.
That's my job.
Yeah.
And so this show is really well cast. I will say that.
What? I'll say it too, because I had no idea how you were going to cast this at first. I was like, I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, personally, I'm going to say, I knew I was going to get the part. But I really didn't know how you were going to put together this ensemble. Mm-hmm. And when I saw the finished product, I was like, oh wow, I didn't think about that. But then seeing us work together and everything, it all makes sense. It makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
And I'm glad that you put us all together, because I think you're going to get, like you said, a very true performance.
Yeah. And I was super happy when we got to callbacks and I saw them all do the work together. I was like,
that's
the
your group.
group.
That's your group, right? And so it's so exciting when that happens too, right? Like you're directing and you have questions as you go into callbacks, and then they go into casting. You're like, oh no, I'm a little concerned, but I never was about any of them. So, yeah,
that's awesome.
They're doing a great job.
Now, Mekhi, you're just going into your senior year,
or graduate?
I graduate in May. Yeah.
Or that's right. Wait a minute, what time? That's right.
Where are you going after that? Where are you going?
My plan is to go to LA.
Okay.
LA. Yeah.
All right. Cool.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Like such a great production.
I got to see
Thank
this.
you
By the
for
way,
your time.
where is this being put on?
At the university, in the studio theater in the Temple Building at University of Nebraska Johnny Carson School of Theater and Film, the Nebraska Repertory Theater. It opens on February 29th and runs that weekend and then the next weekend.
Yep, till March the 9th.
There you go.
Cool.
Yeah, once it opens, I don't know.
I gotta come see this. I gotta come see you guys.
Studio
Seriously.
theater on the second floor?
No, it's on the
third floor.
It's on the first floor. It's the Black Box Theater next to the Howl.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
It shares
Got
the
it.
same lobby.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay, we've been in that.
Yes,
And it's
we
a
have been
nice
in that
small, well, not small, but it's a decent sized black box, but it
Yeah.
has this nice intimate feel. So
Oh, nice.
and the audience is on three sides, so it's a thrust
Yeah, that's
stage,
right. You
and
get
so
the-
it'll be
yep.
nice. It'll be
Oh,
nice.
great.
You guys let me know when you're coming. So
I
will.
Yes. I want to come see this.
Yeah,
I gotta come see it.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for
Hell,
your time.
thank you,
So
guys.
nice
Yes.
to meet you. So good to see you again. Jay.
Yes.
Friend of the podcast.
Outside of his lair.
I didn't
I
bring
know,
any
right?
like whiskey or anything with me today.
well, I don't know if we can have whiskey.
Yeah, we gotta work.
I should have.
Yeah, it's all right. All right.
All right.
Have a
Break
good
legs.
rehearsal tonight, gentlemen.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Awesome. All right. Yes.
Thank you for listening and supporting the arts in the Platte River area and beyond. Please subscribe to our podcast so you are sure to catch all of our future episodes and join us on social media. See you next time on the Platte River Bard.